I had known Hannah for so long that imagining my life without her felt like imagining the sky without blue. We met at 16, bonded over shared notebooks and whispered jokes in the back of class, and somehow never let go. Now, 10 years later, she still knew when I needed tea instead of coffee, silence instead of words. That night, we lay on the floor of her flat, fairy lights glowing softly above us. Music hummed low, something slow and familiar. Our shoulders touched, nothing unusual. Yet my heart beat faster, as if my body knew something my mind refused to name. "You're quiet," Hannah said, turning her head to look at me. Her eyes were warm, curious. "Just tired," I lied. She smiled and nudged me playfully. "You always say that when you're thinking too much." I laughed, but the sound felt fragile. The truth was, I had been thinking about the way her hair fell into her eyes, how safe I felt beside her. Thinking about how lately, when she laughed, something inside me ached. I turned my head away, staring at the lights. Best friends didn't think like this. Best friends didn't wonder what it would feel like to hold the other closer. I told myself it was nothing, just comfort, just habit. But as Hannah shifted, her fingers brushing mine, the warmth lingered. And for the first time, I wondered if what I felt had quietly changed while I wasn't looking. The next weeks were full of moments I couldn't unfeel. Coffee dates that lasted hours. Lingering hugs. Glances that stayed a second too long. Every time Hannah smiled at me, my chest tightened with something dangerously close to hope. One rainy afternoon, we ducked into a small cafe to escape the cold. She shook rain from her jacket, laughing. I watched her, memorizing the curve of her smile like it might vanish. "You're staring again," she teased, sliding into the seat across from me. "I am not." She raised an eyebrow, amused. "Sure." Our knees touched under the table, and neither of us moved away. The contact felt electric, alive. I wrapped my hands around my mug, trying to ground myself. "Hannah," I started, then stopped. Yes, the word hung between us. I wanted to say everything. I wanted to tell her how my feelings no longer fit neatly into the box labeled friendship. Instead, I swallowed and shook my head. "Nothing." She studied me, her expression softer now. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" I nodded, heart pounding. That was the problem. I could tell her everything and lose her. Or stay silent and ate quietly. When we left the cafe, she reached for my hand to pull me across the street. Her fingers laced with mine so naturally it felt inevitable. We walked like that for a moment, until she realized and let go, flustered. "Sorry," she said quickly. "It's okay," I replied, though my hand felt cold without hers. The tension built slowly, like a song approaching its chorus. One evening, Hannah came over with wine and takeaway, declaring it a no-thinking night. We laughed, talked about nothing important, and avoided everything that mattered. Later, as we sat on the sofa, her head rested against my shoulder. My arm was around her before I consciously decided to put it there. She sighed softly, content. "You're my favorite place," she murmured. The words sent a shiver through me. I tilted my head, my cheek brushing her hair. "Hannah." She looked up, our faces suddenly close. Close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of green in her eyes. Close enough that my breath caught. "What?" she whispered. The world narrowed to the space between us. My heart screamed for honesty. I leaned in slightly, then froze. Her gaze flickered to my lips. For a second, I was sure she felt it too. But then she pulled back, sitting up straighter. "I should go," she said suddenly. Confusion and disappointment washed over me. "Did I do something?" "No," she said quickly, standing. "I just need air." At the door, she hesitated, hand on the handle. "I don't want to mess this up." "Mess what up?" I asked softly. She looked at me, eyes unreadable. "Us." The door closed behind her, leaving me alone with unanswered questions and a heart that finally admitted the truth. I was in love with my best friend. Days passed without Hannah's usual messages. The silence was louder than any argument. I replayed that moment on the sofa again and again, wondering if I had imagined everything. When she finally called, her voice was cautious. "Can we talk?" We met at the park where we used to spend hours as teenagers. The air was cool, the sky overcast. It felt fitting. "I'm sorry," she said immediately, "for disappearing. It hurt, I admit it." She nodded, eyes downcast. I got scared. Of what? She took a breath, then looked at me. Of realizing that what I feel for you isn't just friendship. My chest tightened. "You feel it too?" Her laugh was shaky. "I think I've felt it for a long time. I just didn't want to name it." Hope bloomed, terrifying and bright. "Hannah, I don't want to lose you," she continued. "But I don't want to lie anymore either." I stepped closer, closing the distance that had felt unbearable. "Neither do I." She searched my face, then slowly reached for my hand. This time, neither of us let go. The world felt quieter, like it was holding its breath with us. The moment unfolded gently, without rush. Hannah's thumb brushed over my knuckles, sending warmth through me. She leaned in, hesitating just long enough to give me a choice. I answered by moving closer. Our first kiss was soft, tentative, more a promise than a declaration. Her lips were warm, familiar in a way that felt deeply right. When we pulled back, we were both smiling through tears. "Wow," she whispered. "Yeah," I breathed. We laughed, nerves easing, then kissed again. This time with more certainty. My hand came up to cup her cheek, feeling the way she leaned into my touch. It wasn't rushed or overwhelming. It was intimate, slow, full of years of unspoken affection. When we finally parted, foreheads touching, she smiled. "I've wanted to do that for so long." "Me too." We sat on the grass, arms wrapped around each other, talking quietly about fears and hopes. About how we'd take things slow. About how friendship didn't end here, it transformed. As the sun dipped lower, Hannah rested her head on my shoulder, and I realized something simple and powerful. Loving her didn't feel like falling. It felt like coming home. Dating Hannah felt both new and familiar. We still shared inside jokes and late-night conversations, but now there were soft kisses, hello, hands held openly, and a gentle excitement woven through everything. One evening, as we cooked together, she came up behind me, arms sliding around my waist. I leaned back into her instinctively. "You okay?" she asked. "More than okay," I smiled. She pressed a kiss to my neck, sweet, lingering. It sent a flutter through me, but it was comfort that stayed strongest. We moved together easily, like we'd always known how. Later, curled up on the sofa, she traced patterns on my arm. "I like this," she said quietly. "Us." I was scared it would change things, I admitted. "It did," she replied. But not in a bad way. I turned to her, kissing her slowly. The kiss deepened, still gentle, still full of care. We pulled back only to rest our foreheads together, breathing in sync. There was no rush, no pressure, just two people choosing each other, moment by moment. Not every moment was easy. One night, doubt crept in, uninvited. "What if we break up?" I asked softly, staring at the ceiling. Hannah turned to me. "Is that what you're afraid of?" "I'm afraid of losing you," I confessed. "Of ruining the best thing I've ever had." She cupped my face, forcing me to meet her eyes. "Loving you is worth the risk." Her words settled something inside me. I kissed her, slow and deliberate, pouring every unsaid feeling into the moment. She kissed me back with the same intensity, hands warm against my back. When we pulled away, she smiled. "We'll figure it out. Together." We told our friends gradually, each time met with smiles and knowing looks. Finally, one of them laughed. "We were wondering when you'd catch up to yourselves." Walking hand in hand in public felt like a quiet victory. Hannah squeezed my fingers, grounding me whenever nerves crept in. One afternoon, as we sat by the river, she leaned in and kissed me without hesitation. It wasn't about who might see, it was about us. "I love you," she said suddenly. The words made my heart soar. "I love you too." Our kisses grew more confident, more expressive, but always tender. Intimacy for us was shared laughter, whispered confessions, and falling asleep tangled together, safe and sure. One night, rain tapping against the windows, we lay close, noses brushing. "Best friends," she murmured. "And more," I replied. She kissed me again, slow and meaningful, sealing the truth we'd been living. Loving Hannah didn't erase our past, it honored it. Every memory led us here, to this version of us that felt honest and whole. As we watched the sun rise together one morning, she squeezed my hand. I'm glad I fell for my best friend. So am I said, leaning in for a kiss that felt like forever. Because some love stories don't begin with sparks. They begin with friendship and grow into something unforgettable.